Welcome back, folks, to WrestleRant, where I, Graham G.S. Matthews, every single Tuesday break down all the pay-per-views that I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're talking In Your House 18, better known as Bad Blood, from October of 1997. Really a one-match show. Let's break it down right now, starting with the handicap match, kicking off the show. Nation of Domination, The Rock, at that point known as Rocky Maivia, Kama Mustafa, and D'Lo Brown taking on the Legion of Doom. Shitty-ass match. By the way, I forgot to mention this, too. To kick off the show, I think it was at the start of the show, Vince McMahon, Jim Ross, and Jerry Lawler on commentary announced that Brian Pillman had passed away that morning on the site of the pay-per-view in St. Louis. So, very sad, kind of somber tone to the rest of the show. And the rest of the show was kind of not all that good anyway. Maybe this was a reason why people weren't really in the mood to have a great show. You know what I mean? The overall tone of this show is kind of a downer because of the death of Brian Pillman, so very unfortunate news to kick off the show. But as I had said, the handicap match, Nation of Domination versus Legion of Doom, kind of a throwaway match. Nation of Domination win, whatever, really not that good of a match at all. The Nation of Domination, or rather the Legion of Doom's run from 98 to whenever they left in 99, whatever, was really not all that good. They did not have many great matches at all, which was kind of disappointing, but not the greatest opener. After that, we had Max Mini and Nova taking on Tarantula and Mosaic, another Minis matchup. The one, it might have been at the last In Your House in September of 97, or maybe the one before that, I forgot. It was pretty good for what it was. I mean, it was complete throwaway, but it was fun while it lasted. This, just no one gave a shit. Kind of a real, again, forgettable match. Thrown together at the last second. No one really gave a crap. Whatever. Move on. Max Mini and Nova won, but again, very forgettable match. The Godwins beating the Headbangers for the WWF Tag Team titles. Not a good match. I mean, as you could expect, it's the Godwins and the Headbangers. The Headbangers had just won their first set of Tag Team titles, I believe, the previous In Your House. It's been a while since I've watched them, kind of getting back into them now. Taping these well in advance, but it's been a while since I watched my last In Your House. Kind of had a brief break from March to April in between all the WrestleMania madness. But this match was really not all that good. The Godwins would be short-lived as champions anyway. Their title run was short-lived regardless. I think they would go on to drop the titles too. Maybe Nation of Domination, I forgot. But their run would also be equally uneventful for the Godwins. But yeah, just, again, not a good match. After that, we had a brief segment where the legends of St. Louis Wrestling were honored by the WWE, by Jim Ross specifically. Kaninsky, the Funk Brothers, the Briscoes, Alou Thez, and a few others. A cool little segment. I don't know what purpose it served exactly, but it was nice filler. They had little video packages for each guy and kind of honor their legacies and their careers in pro wrestling. So it was cool for what it was. There was a nice kind of little tribute to those guys. After that, for the Intercontinental Championship, we had Owen Hart taking on Farouk for the vacant title after Stone Cold Steve Austin had vacated the month before at In Your House, which I talked about in my previous review. The match was all right for what it was. The only real thing worth noting about it was the fact that Stone Cold helped Owen Hart win the belt, and he was on commentary kind of harassing the commentators and the Spanish commentators and the French commentators, typical Stone Cold, which I thought was great. It was weird to see him help Owen Hart win the belt just because Owen Hart had legitimately broken his neck at SummerSlam. They played that up in storyline. So that was weird, but the storyline reasoning for it was the fact that Stone Cold wanted to be Owen Hart for that championship at the subsequent paper, whenever Stone Cold would come back, which would be at Survivor Series the following month. But he wanted to be Owen Hart, considering Owen Hart was the one to beat him for that, he was the one who beat him with that championship to begin with. Stone Cold beat Owen. Owen gets the gold back, and now Stone Cold, in getting his revenge on Owen eventually, can also get the gold back in his possession as well. So I think it's sound reasoning when you really think about it. After that, we had the Disciples of Apocalypse, DOA, taking on Los Boricuas in an 8-man tag team match. Chaotic, if you like that kind of wrestling, which 98 was pretty much all about in WWF, then you might like this match. I really could not care less about it. The DOA won. Again, couldn't really care less. Not a terrible match, but very chaotic, just a lot of anarchy going on. Just kind of a mess. But if you like that kind of thing, you might like this match more than I did. But DOA did win. We had Bret Hart and British Bulldog taking on Vader and the Patriot in a tag team flag match. A decent match, but not as good as it could have been, considering Vader, Bulldog, Bret Hart are all great. And even the Patriot and Bret Hart had a pretty passable match at the last In Your House. So, the flag match stipulation wasn't really what dragged it down. You could win by pinfall or submission. So it's not like the entire match consisted of all 4 guys going for the flag on top of the fucking ring post. It just was not really that great of a match. Again, it was a good match, but slightly underwhelming considering you had the fucking British Bulldog, Vader, Bret Hart, and the Patriot, who wasn't bad himself. So, again, kind of a disappointing match. Hart and Bulldog would win, so the heels go over. And then the main event. Far and away, needless to say, the greatest thing on the entire show. The greatest match. I can't say the greatest match of the year because that Canadian Stampede match from that summer was pretty fucking great. And was it Canadian Stampede? I think it was Canadian Stampede. And then also Stone Cold and Bret Hart, obviously, from WrestleMania. So one of the greatest matches from 97. But 97, not a lot of good matches for a year that was not great in-ring-wise, from an in-ring standpoint. In-ring-wise, they had a couple of great classics that year, including the main event on this show, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell. Not only any ordinary Hell in a Cell match, the Hell in a Cell match. The first ever Hell in a Cell match. And arguably the best ever Hell in a Cell match. It's hard to top the original. The story here I thought was phenomenal. The build I thought was great, with Shawn Michaels costing The Undertaker the WWE title inadvertently at SummerSlam. And they engage in this brawl of sorts at In Your House with a match that ended in a no contest the next month, the month before this. That just kind of goes off the rails. And the real only way to settle this score is inside a structure that can contain these two that will disallow them from getting out, which is Hell in a Cell. Now, I've seen this match countless times on my own. I've talked about it before, the Hell in a Cell compilation DVD that came out about 10 years ago at this point. I think in late 07, 08. So it's been almost about 10 years, but I got it about 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. It has every Hell in a Cell match ever, with the exception of Taker and Big Boss Man at WrestleMania, I think it was 15. One of the worst Cell matches of all time. So the fact that's the only match that's excluded from that DVD, which is pretty funny. That's pretty funny to me. Because it has every other Hell in a Cell match from that time, from 97 to 2007. But anyway, so I've seen the match a bunch of times because I watch that DVD once every year, right before Hell in a Cell every single year. So I've seen it at least 6 times already. But this match was pretty damn good. Not pretty damn good. It was very fucking good. Shawn Michaels knows how to take a beating. Taker here I thought was great in exacting his revenge on Shawn. Shawn sold the beating like a fucking $1,000,000. You had the referee being taken out here by Shawn Michaels, who was ruthless. You get a little blood, not a lot of blood, but some blood. And it was a great wrestling match to boot. You had a little bit of everything here. You had some good wrestling, some good aggression, some brawling, a lot of good elements to a great, 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 great match. And then, of course, the ending, Kane gets involved, rips the door off the steel hinges, breaks the door, comes in, goes face-to-face with Taker, and one of the greatest encounters of all time, tombstones him to allow Shawn Michaels to score the victory in the first ever Cell match. So again, just probably one of, if not the greatest debut of all time from Kane. And then the match itself, one of, if not the greatest Hell in a Cell match of all time. So just an amazing way to go off the air. Shawn Michaels remains in control of Taker. He would remain undefeated against The Undertaker until WrestleMania 25, another classic match from the two. But that closed out Bad Blood 1997, In Your House 18, whatever. The show overall, it's hard to say it was good because the undercard was trash. Even the flag match was not as good as it could have been. It was a good match, but not as good as it could have been. So it's hard to say that you should watch the entire show. The undercard was just not good. Brian Pillman's passing, they gave updates on his passing throughout the night. So the undercard was just not good, very somber, very unfortunate, very sad. A lot of the matches weren't good anyway. So I wouldn't recommend watching the entire event unless you have some nostalgia attached to the show. Really, the only match worth watching is the main event, which you could check out in any Hell in a Cell compilation. Shawn Michaels DVDs, Taker's DVDs, I'm sure they're all on there. So check out this match, if anything. The entire show, I'll give it... It's hard to say to give the show a definite thumbs down because that main event is one of the greatest of all time. But on the whole, the show was just not great. So if anything, a thumbs in the middle. At worst, thumbs down, because it was not a great show overall. But that main event, you just can't top it. It just cannot be touched. So check out Michaels and Taker from Bad Blood in Your House 18 from October 1997. And that does it, guys, for my review of the show. As always, thank you for checking out my reviews, listening, watching, whatever. I appreciate it. Stay tuned until next week, my next review of whatever pay-per-view is next, whether it be a current pay-per-view from 2016, or after this, actually, we only have one more In Your House review, that being D-Generation X. I almost said Ground Zero, but we talked about that last time in my last In Your House review from a week or two ago. So my next In Your House review will be In Your House D-Generation X from December of 1997, and that is the last remaining pay-per-view I have not yet watched on the network. So after that, we're going into takeovers and other 2016 shows and other, network specials like Beast in the East and stuff like that. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. We're finally closing in on our final pay-per-view ever. And after I watch that, I will have officially watched every pay-per-view of WWE's of all time, which is crazy. A lot of hours watching wrestling over the past 3 years. But anyway, guys, I appreciate your support. As I said earlier, find me on the Twitter machine. Follow me there at WrestleRant. Find me on Facebook, like the Page, at facebook.com/Grams@gsm.Matthews. And be sure to like this video, drop a comment, share the video, subscribe to the channel first and foremost for daily content going up every single day, the definition of daily. So that being said, guys, have a great rest every week. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch you guys down the road.